I'm Alex,
And I'm Beckham. And we used
and
to be
we used to be
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Um, for posterity's sake, just in case you didn't catch that,
Okay.
our dead name, both of us, is Rebecca. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so,
Funnily enough, funny that we had the same name and we're such good friends. Actually,
yeah, and we actually used the exact same nickname for what was it, like 10 years almost?
yeah. It got kind of confusing in like chats on websites and stuff.
Oh, that, like, oh my God, MSN Messenger. I miss MSN. I would use MSN to this day if it was active.
If MSN was still active, do you know how many people would be signing back up? Like,
Oh my God,
do you know how
definitely.
many people would be digging through their emails trying to find their old MSN logins?
I would. I still
Yeah,
have my login. I
I
got
probably have it
reminded the
somewhere.
other day. Remember, I told you about an email I sent to you.
Yes, vaguely. And now I really want to try finding my email. Like,
Yeah. So, for anybody listening, Alex's ex is definitely a gaslighting, manipulative friend. Um, so at one point, like, I attacked Alex, although on my behalf, Alex was kind of being a jackass.
yeah, to
Um,
be fair.
So, speaking of HOS and MSN Messenger, you want to go? You want to talk about how we met?
Yeah, we can do. All these acronyms. HOS was a pro boards, which is like the old forum websites. We all remember those. I'm sure we're all around the same age, like everyone listening.
Yeah.
Good old days of like forums where you just spoke to people online and shit like that. And we're both massive Potterheads, complete nerds. I mean, fuck JK, but still love Harry Potter.
She cannot have that universe. We
Nope,
fans have taken it. It's
we
out.
have. And yeah, we were both on the same website, and everyone thought we were both dudes before we knew we were dudes.
Yeah, we were both role playing characters. My first one was well, my older brother's name is Ricky. So my first character was Ricky, and I don't think I've ever told you, Alex, but he was a Hufflepuff.
Oh, ugh,
I know, I know.
ugh.
I know, but listen, I've learned recently that Hufflepuff is really an allegory for people who partake in herbal medications, and because they puff, and their common room is right beside the kitchens.
Actually, yeah, yeah. I never thought about it until you literally
Valid
just said
point.
it.
Valid point. I saw
Valid,
that
very,
meme, and
very valid.
I was like, I follow that trope. So, maybe that particular version of Amanda's sorting quiz, and Amanda like sorted me. Amanda McDonald. Was it McDonald? I think it was McDonald.
Something like that.
Something like that. There's another Amanda McDonald from HOS too, who's like, she's my big heart. Listen, she introduced me to so much music. As a Canadian hipster herself, she was devastated uh, that I had lied to her about being
Mm,
a guy. Back to my second sorting as Christopher, which I actually always thought that I would take as my name.
yeah.
But I have a nephew named Christopher, and I have a best friend named Christopher, and I shine so bright. I don't want to overshadow. So I chose obviously David Beckham's name because I figured he was the only one who like really stood a chance at competing with my brightness.
I'm sure he's as humble as you are, also.
Oh man, if his wife wants to call mine and my girlfriend and arrange a dinner, uh, just have the queen phone me.
Yeah, if you're listening, David,
David,
let's hook something up. Like,
I have been so freaking like, oh god, I played soccer and David Beckham was my idol. I wanted to look just like him. I wanted tattoos just like his. I still like to this day when I get a really good 5 o'clock shadow, may just buzz my hair to have that one haircut that he had.
Yeah. And you know what? Without even looking at a picture, you just like, you know, that one haircut he had. We all know what haircut you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. But I could also say, like when he didn't cut the middle, that one haircut, or when he
Yeah.
didn't cut it, that one haircut.
When he had like the 90s boy band curtains haircut as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the one where he just didn't cut it. Oh man.
Yeah.
So anyways, David Beckham, if you're listening, I'm a huge fan. Would love to talk to you anytime. Uh, get in touch. Victoria as well. I still have memorized every Spice Girl song ever. I'm not ashamed of this talent that I have possessed.
I'm impressed.
Thanks. So Chris Lord actually was my favorite one. What was yours? What was your favorite?
I actually only had one character.
Oh shit! You went through that
Yeah.
whole time with only one.
Yeah. I made Jason Valentine,
That's
who
right.
was a Slytherin from the first sorting to the two times I left the site and came back. Yeah, no, I just had the one. I think I had like a couple of side characters that I made as well,
You did, yeah.
but he was always like my main character.
Chris Lord was always my main character. I think I only played Ricky for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe.
Mm.
Anyways, we both created male characters. We both were role playing on the site for a long time as Slytherins.
Because Slytherins are the best.
Yeah. Do you remember the Slither Olympics?
Yes.
That was my invention. You're welcome.
Thank you for that, for bringing that into the world, because
Yeah.
there were some fun times had on that.
There were. So yeah, and now we are both definitely acknowledged trans.
Yeah, and it's funny actually because um, we fell out of contact for a long time over my ex, basically, because I was did not end things as smoothly as I probably should have ended things, and obviously most people took her side, which don't blame them. So we actually didn't speak for a long while, and then accidentally found each other on Facebook
In a trans fitness group.
in a trans fitness group. Accidentally stumbled across each other, like didn't even know the other one had come out, didn't know the other one was transitioning, nothing.
No.
And then I made a post in a group, and I thought I recognized you, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, it's you, like.
And then like we kind of agreed that like we weren't gonna trash talk your ex because if we were still friends at the time.
Yeah.
And then you talked to me about how she handled your transition. For me, it was awesome just to kind of have somebody that I had known for so long and could connect with about this.
Yeah, definitely. I think it helps having history with someone. You've got that history. We already had that friendship, We
Yeah.
already had that level of comfort, and then to find out we have this big thing in common with each other. And yeah, we jumped right back to how things were, if anything.
Yeah, I think closer,
Oh
honestly.
yeah,
Um,
definitely, yeah.
and for me,
I
I've
mean,
struggled with that because a lot of friendships in the LGBTQ community that, at least in my experience in my areas, they were based solely on being LGBTQ.
mm,
And I really struggle with that because it's definitely a part of me. It's definitely a part of me I love and I embrace, but it's not the sole piece of me that matters about
yeah,
it.
I completely get what you mean, because I've had the same thing. I've had going into like an online community and trying to make friends
Yeah.
within like trans spaces and LGBTQ spaces. A lot of people, and if this is how you feel, fair play to you. But the way I see it is, like you said, I'm transgender. It's a part of who I am, but it's not me. I am much more than that. But I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people, when they make friends in the community, your friendship is based just on that, and that's all you talk about, and that's all you know about each other. And
We both want to stress that this is not anything that we're dogging on. We're not talking down about it. Just not turns out either of our preference. We
yeah,
just so you know, for future shows, we don't have these discussions beforehand. We're having these discussions just as two friends talking about trans everything, actually. Anything
Yeah.
that pertains to being transgender is kind of what this show will touch on. And we also want to be able to talk about uncomfortable topics and answer uncomfortable questions that maybe um, you have always wanted to ask, but you don't want to offend. And let me be the first to say that you will not offend me if you are at all
Yeah.
respectful.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, it's funny actually because a lot of people, when I speak to them or when I answer questions, they're just like, "Oh, you're not offended?" It's like, no.
All right, so now that I'm recording, let me just apologize ahead of time. The allergies are really bad here in Oklahoma because it was cold and now it's hot.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cold again soon. So my allergies are really bad. Just
Fair enough. I think we should also just insert a little thing here to say.
no, we should not insert any of that.
I meant to just say that we're continuing on another day because we had
that one.
some technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Storm blew out my internet the other night, so
We didn't just decide to have a costume change.
yeah, we didn't.
Halfway
We
through.
didn't. Although in the future we might have costumes. You want to have costumes? I
We
have
should
tons of
definitely
Renaissance costumes.
we should definitely do a costume episode.
We should do. I have so many good Renaissance costumes that I can't wear because it's too hot.
Yeah, I don't have any, but I will get one.
Well, the color of my skin gives me a plus 15 resistance to frost damage, but it's like a negative 50 resistance to heat damage. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Like I can't deal with the heat.
you know that vulnerability to fire it just gets you every time. Like,
I know. Oh, so I think you were gonna give us a rundown on your how you came out in your transition.
I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, because I, and this is going to sound very odd, especially to younger people who might be listening, who've grown up with the internet and with celebrities coming out on telly and blah blah blah. But I grew up very sheltered, and I didn't even know being transgender was a thing until I was like 20.
I had the same experience. I had the same experience. It wasn't until I saw another guy in my like social circle start transitioning that I was even aware that it could go from female to male and not just
Yeah.
male.
See, mine was a weird one. Mine was my ex sent me an article talking about non-binary people, and I was like, what does non-binary mean? Like, what even is that? When I looked up non-binary,
I'm gonna toast you in this picture for Facebook, by the way. Do you have your drink?
I do.
We should toast our Facebook friends. There we go. Even better.
Chin chin. So yeah, so
continue.
she sent me
your ex sent you a thing about non-binary people, and you
talking about saying she said this sounds like you, and I was like, I don't even know what even is this. So I looked up what non-binary meant, and then it kept talking about how it was under the transgender umbrella, and I was like, well, what does transgender mean? Like, and then when I looked it up, it was like people talk about that light bulb moment. It was a light bulb moment. I was like, that's me right there. That is exactly it. She was not supportive, to say the least.
I feel like we made some comments in the last recording, same episode, last recording, about your ex that people might find controversial, and just want to point out that the reason we said what we said is because she said what she said. It's not that we are ruining her reputation in any way. Her actions and her words ruined her reputation.
Well, yes. It was, I support you as long as you don't actually pursue it.
Yeah, and that's
Not supportive. That's not supporting it at
I'm
all.
so mad that's you even said it. I can't believe you said it. It was supportive.
Because
Like,
that's what it was. It was like, I support you in how you are feeling emotionally. However, I don't want you to pursue it because I don't know if I'd be comfortable with it. I don't know if you change as a person.
and
You
because
know,
I do know what happened next in the story, can you tell everybody what happened next in her story?
she then had a future partner who came out, and she was very supportive. In fact, apparently she encouraged him to come out and transition. And when I became public with it, so it was a case of, oh, I was always supportive, but you said this, and you said you didn't always have dysphoria. It's like, yeah, bitch, I don't always have crippling dysphoria, and you convinced me I needed constant day and night crippling dysphoria. I was not transgender.
Okay, so
When
what was your experience after you left that relationship?
it was like a 180, basically. It was, I got with my new girlfriend, and I'd spoken about like my gender I said confusion, because I was like, yeah, I'm transgender, but then my ex had put these things in my head and I didn't know what I was, essentially. And she turned around one day and was like, look, if you could wake up tomorrow and you're a guy, and you've always been a guy, and everyone always known you as a guy, would you? If you could press a button tonight and wake up tomorrow as a dude, and that's all anyone's ever known, would you?
See,
And I just broke down crying, because I was like, yep, I'd smack that button,
as hard
bang,
as I
no
could,
hesitation. Yeah,
as
like,
hard as I could.
yeah. And that was like the leaping point for me.
I get that. Okay, man, that's really insightful of her to have that like that knowledge
Yeah,
just to out the barrel have that kind of a reaction response. I'm impressed with her. I've met her a couple of times virtually.
yeah.
She's really nice, but now I'm
Yeah,
very impressed with her.
she is an impressive lady, to be honest. Like, it is like day and night when it comes to my relationships. Like, she has been number one from day one. She's been as excited for every step of my transition as I has been, if not more. In fact, when I started testosterone, she threw a party, and I came home and she'd put up balloons everywhere in the shape of penises, and there was a big banner up on the wall that said, Alex is getting a willy.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Nice side
To,
reference to
to,
the bottom
to,
growth.
yeah, to the extent that when we moved, we cleared out a load of our shit.
Yeah.
She came storming into the room with a letter and threw it at me. And because it said, to Miss R. Clark. She forgot what my old name was. She'd forgot that I was ever anything but Alexander. Like, she was like, what the fuck is this? You got a wife I don't know about? And I'm like, babe, just stop for 1 minute and think
Just
about it.
one minute. I get it though.
I'm gonna,
I get
yeah,
it because like my brother sent me a picture of myself when I think I was 10. And like I showed it to my girlfriend, and
yeah.
like it took her a second, like just kind of like looking at the picture, kind of like just, oh, it's you. And she with me as a kid before, she used to like very easily recognize my features as like
Yeah,
born as a female child. But now it's a little bit different, and
yeah.
I love
What
it.
about you? What was your like coming out experience like?
I'm
Or
not
your
gonna lie,
realization experience,
my
or
ex-wife was extremely supportive. She, in her anger, said a couple of things as we were splitting, but for the most part, she was extremely supportive. As a matter of fact, um, due to some job instability issues that were out of my control, I didn't have insurance, and I was trying to figure out how to stop my monthly cycle because I had endometriosis, like pretty crippling endometriosis, to be honest. And I scheduled an appointment with Planned Parenthood. I was trying to figure out how much money it was going to cost. And I got really overwhelmed. And she was kind enough to step in and just say, "Hey, I'm going to handle this for you. Just go to work and I'll tell you when your appointment is." And I was like, "Okay, cool. No, thank you." And I showed up to the appointment and sat down and like started talking to the provider. And they were like, "Okay, so you want to start testosterone today, right?" And I was like, "Huh?" Because I thought I was going to get like regular birth control. I thought a doctor and a psychiatrist and, you know, a letter over here, because that's how crazy our medical system is. I thought I was going to take all these steps. Nobody had ever told me about informed consent and that I could go to a provider who was trans friendly and participate in an informed consent type of medical transition.
Yeah.
Where they just told me the risks and asked me if I felt like I could make a decision or if I needed more information. And I was like, sign me up right now.
Yeah, smack that button.
Immediately. How do I shoot myself? Teach me now.
Yeah.
So in that regard, she was excellent. And talk for a minute. My current partner, I was friends with Summer at the time before we were dating. And I remember, and this is, I remember wanting to share every bit of my transition with her. And it's not that I didn't want to share with my ex. It's just that she wasn't as enthusiastic. It just didn't feel right. I can't explain it. It's not that she wasn't enthusiastic. It just didn't feel right. And later we found out that part of her struggle was that she was very much a lesbian.
Yeah.
Very much into traditional women, and that's perfectly fine. She's happy in a relationship now, and I'm happy for her.
Yeah, that's the thing. People have preferences, and unfortunately, that can get in the way of relationships, and you can't help your preference. You have to respect those boundaries that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm perfectly fine with that. She was not ever intentionally rude about it. When we split, she was kind of mean for a minute, but situations happen, you know.
Yeah.
But Summer just really took a lot of joy and had a lot of thoughtful input on my transition. Even when we were just like texting back and forth, and even when I was just kind of like sending her voice messages on Facebook Messenger, you know, like, "Oh my God, listen to my voice, listen to it. I've been on testosterone for 4 days. Listen to it now." You know, and she was my walking buddy. I got up to walk because I decided, you know, if I was gonna love myself, I was gonna love myself, and I was gonna get my ass up and move and create a different body. If my body was gonna do what I wanted it to do originally, I was gonna give it a shot, you know.
Yeah.
So she was my walking buddy because she just happened to be awake at that early in the morning, and we were just texting back and forth as friends all along. And somewhere along the way, I mentioned that I still had feelings, and she also had feelings. And when we sat down to start kind of pursuing that, we had to have that discussion, like, how do you feel about, you know, not just being friends with a trans man? Obviously you're totally fine with that, but how do you feel about dating, you know, someone? How is this going to feel in the future? Are you comfortable with the physical aspects of this that might change? She was perfectly fine with it. She was extremely accepting. Outside of romantically, all of my friends were very much just like, yeah,
yeah,
we got it.
Yeah,
big deal, buddy. You know.
Do you know, it's funny you say that. That's the experience I had with my dad. Like, way back when, I kind of spoken to my dad and was like, "Look, I have these feelings. I don't know if I'm going to do anything about them, but like, this is where my head's at." Once I made the decision, no, I'm doing this. I'm transitioning. I need to start telling my nearest and dearest. I went up to my dad's for the weekend, and I got really in my head about it because I was like, Dad's going to be chill with this. Dad's been fine about everything. And then it was like, oh God, what if Dad isn't okay with this? Like, and I got really emotional trying to tell him. And him and my stepmom were like, oh, you know, what's wrong? Just tell us what's wrong. And when I told them, you could see relief on their face. They were like, is that it? That's fine. Like, we thought, like, they said the way I got emotional, they thought I was about to tell them I had something like really medically wrong with me.
Oh man.
They were like,
way to build it up,
fine.
man.
Like, they were like, that's how you feel. Like, as long as you're happy and you're healthy, you're our son now. You know, that's fine. Like,
yeah. See, my dad, if he were still alive, I think he would have responded that way.
Yeah.
My mom responded that way. She tried to. Anyways.
Yeah.
All of my friends were pretty awesome.
Yeah. My mum's a mixed bag. And I love my mum. And I'm not going to diss her struggling with this. Because day one, she's fantastic. I spent the whole day talking to her about the fact that I wanted surgery, about the name I'd chosen for myself, about starting hormones soon. And then it was almost like reality sunk in and she struggled. But I've since found out since then, she's made like big steps. We're not at like fully acceptance yet. Yeah, that was it. So like we're slowly getting to the point where she's not, it's hard to explain. Like, she's aware I'm doing what I'm doing. She's happy for me. She wants me to be happy. She's doing as best she can to accept the fact that I'm now her son. Because I think a big struggling point for her was thinking I was going to be a completely different person. But it's been over 2 years since I told her. I've been on hormones over 2 years, and I think she can quite clearly see I'm still my same self.
Yeah.
So I think it's just her coming to terms with it, I think, and wrapping her head around it is the biggest thing.
So, okay. Oh, so I had a really interesting experience since we had a break. So I go to the gym with my best friend Chris, and we were in the sauna and we're hanging out, just kind of chilling, and I'm talking about the podcast, and he and I are kind of talking about it, and he's like, well, you know, I'll listen a couple of times at least, but you know, I can't hear very well, so podcasts aren't really my thing. And I kind of like looked at him and I'm like, dude, my best friend has a hearing impairment. Like, we're gonna have videos up on YouTube with closed captioning.
Yeah.
And so we start talking more about the podcast. I thought that was like a funny. He didn't think I would have thought of him. I think he was asking me my position on legalizing certain things for trans people.
Yeah.
And there was another guy. His name is Ricardo. I asked his permission to use his name in this story.
Yeah.
His name is Ricardo, and he's sitting in the sauna, and he's kind of like bebopping to his own thing, like listening to his podcast.
Yeah.
And he kind of started overhearing my conversation, and I didn't realize because I had my back turned. But he interrupted me, and he was like, hey, would it be okay if I asked you a couple of questions? And I was like, sure, yeah, like, go ahead, man, hit me up. He was like, well, I mean, you just seem really open. And I was like, I am. Like, you won't offend me. You're extremely polite. Like, go ahead, hit me up. What's up, man? And he asked me what I thought about when should trans people be, you know, like children specifically, at what stage is medical transition okay? At what stage is social transition okay?
Yeah.
And I have my opinions, and we can talk about that in another episode. But he stayed polite. I stayed polite. We stayed engaged. My best friend also like started jumping in, and he, like, in the beginning, he was very defensive of me. He thought the guy was going to come for me, I think.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about him. I appreciate his protectiveness. But, you know, it ended up being a really wonderful conversation that happened
Yeah.
just because I was discussing trans issues in a public place.
Yeah.
Like,
And you,
obviously, the cisgendered community is interested in not just like interested in as a sideshow or interested in as in a way to control us, but they're like, I feel like he was genuinely interested in the safety of children and just wanted to know that we weren't thoughtlessly allowing things to happen as a community,
yeah,
right?
I
Because
get
I
what you
think we
mean.
can
Yeah.
agree that like there's age appropriate transitioning, and we can talk about that in another episode, but I think his position was definitely not from a gatekeeping perspective.
Yeah. He was being open-minded and approaching someone who he thought had a certain perspective on things that could answer his questions.
Yes. And, you know, in the end, he was kind of like, man, you, okay, okay. You know, like I never thought about it that way. And I was like, yeah, I've never really thought about how to vocalize how I feel, but I just did.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing. I think doing something like this also is a good way to kind of break out that like echo chamber
yeah.
that some people experience in life.
So, you know, now that we are kind of discussing getting out of echo chambers, we do have a couple of uncomfortable questions.
We do. So this is the tea time portion of our
This is the
podcast
tea time portion.
where, and so reason Beckham put up a post asking questions and why we're regularly going to be asking questions, not asking questions, asking full questions rather, is because we can chat about whatever we want to talk about when as much as we want on this podcast. But a big part of it is opening a communication and answering questions. And we said when you transition, you as a trans person get bombarded with medical information, and it's all medical information. You're going to have
Yeah.
this side effect, you're going to have this side effect, you're going to have
Yeah.
this side effect,
It's
this is
no
going to happen,
social information.
expect that. Yeah, there's no social nothing. Like there's no, and it's the little things. That's the other thing. It's
Yeah.
the little things. You're like, oh no, is this normal?
Yeah.
Am I having some weird thing happen? And then you speak to other trans people and you're like, oh no, shit, this is completely normal. My doctor just didn't tell me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you as a trans person are having that experience, but then cisgender people kind of looking in on that transition
Yeah.
also have their own experiences and
And
their own
we need to
questions.
be like, I think we need to be open about allowing at least some visibility into our emotions, at least if we want
Yeah,
greater acceptance. And that's my opinion. And I
exactly.
know some people are going to disagree and say that like just existing should be enough. And I agree, like it should.
Yeah,
But society's broken, let's be honest, and
yeah.
let's
But
figure out a way to fix it.
yeah, here's the thing.
Humanize me.
I feel like I'm okay being open and answering questions
Same.
and it being accessible to everyone, which is why we were very clear we were going to do podcasts, but we were also going to upload on YouTube with captions so everyone has access.
Yeah.
Because you and I are open. We're okay talking about this.
Yeah.
The next trans person you meet in your workplace, in your family, in your friends groups, they might not want to talk about it. They might not be okay with it. And there is, as you said, no question too uncomfortable, frankly.
Correct. If you're respectful, I will pretty much answer anything.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I don't want 20 questions of what's in your pants
I said
because that seems to be the
respectful, so let's
stereotype.
get this out of the
Yeah.
way. It is disrespectful as hell to ask anyone ever. Let's just be honest. It's
Yeah.
disrespectful as hell to ask anyone
Yeah.
what's in their pants. So let's refrain from doing it to us. Let's refrain
Yeah.
to each other. Let's refrain from doing it to anyone out in the community. Like as a society, as a people, as a humanity, can we all just agree
Yeah.
that what is in baby's pants, what's in adult pants is between two consenting adults and maybe the parents of the child.
Yeah, basically. Now we've got that out of the way. Yeah, we have some
Very strong
questions.
feelings about that.
Same. But now we have that
All right.
minor small print about not asking questions about inside people's pants. That little small print right at the bottom. Yeah, we do have some questions, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And we both feel that we should both answer these live on air. We have not discussed these previously.
We haven't discussed anything thus
No,
far.
we have discussed nothing other than the content of the show.
Yep.
That's it. Uh, can you describe how it feels to not be able to be your true self, but also how it feels when you are able to be your true self? For me, it was always about feeling like an outsider. No matter what group I tried to get to, it was never my group until I found my group of cisgendered males. And man, they're the best and they have shown me exactly who I am as a person. I learned that in my mid 20s through my friends. You know, like I didn't have much of a childhood where I got to have hobbies or interests of my own or anything like that. So, for me, it felt like always being an outsider until I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it just hit me that I'm not comfortable in queer dominated spaces. I'm not comfortable in, uh, like female dominated spaces. I'm fairly comfortable in, like commingled spaces. But I'm really comfortable around cisgendered males. And I know that's an unfortunate thing that I'm saying. I understand that they are not exactly on the high list of the totem pole, but I'm going to speak out for my friends here and say they are the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So that's how it feels to be able to be my true self. I would describe it as the single most euphoric thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I completely agree with that. Yeah. I'd say on a more literal sense, have you ever, it's like getting close to laundry day and you've got that one pair of jeans that just don't quite fit. They're just a bit too tight. You got to kind of suck it in a bit to get that button up. And then you go through your day, and every time you sit down, they dig in and you move, and they dig in and you look in the mirror and you can see your lumps and bumps, and you're just not feeling good. You're uncomfortable. You don't like how you look. You just want to avoid it. And transitioning is kind of like these trousers fit, or if you're American,
yeah.
pants.
Oh yeah, these pants, these trousers,
Yeah, these fit. These are snug. I'm looking good. Like I can move about and go through my day-to-day life and not even think about it.
yeah.
I'm comfortable. I'm happy.
So
That's what it's like looking in a mirror now.
yeah, I agree. I'm on that wavelength. Like, especially now that I'm getting like just a tiny bit of
Yeah.
facial hair.
Yeah, and for timeline, everyone's timeline is obviously different. But
Yeah.
I'm 2 years and like 3 months, 2 years and 3 months on testosterone.
And I am 1 year, 2 months on testosterone.
Yeah, which makes sense actually, because you're like, you've just started getting scruff, and I only started getting this about a year and a half,
Yeah,
just over a year and a half.
I
So
know. I'm so excited.
yeah, do you know what? I thought I couldn't grow nothing. Like I was shaving every couple of days, and then it hit lockdown, and I was like, no one's gonna see me. I can look like a scruff from a patchy beard. See how it looks like. And then surprise, I could suddenly grow a beard. Like
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to that day. I've already got like a good bit of scruff.
You got some scruff.
So we actually have 3 questions, and I think since it's our first episode, we could go a little long if we want to
Yeah.
answer
Yeah, I
all
think so.
three.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like everybody who asked a question should be rewarded.
Yeah, especially first episode. Like,
Yeah, first episode. So this one, the previous one was from Carly Mason Vo. And I believe,
yeah,
if
shout out
I
to
mispronounced your
Charles.
name,
That's one of
please
my
let me know.
friends.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, Carly. Heather Coraline Jackson is asked our next one. Uh, so it was kind of a tag on to Carly's. So not exactly this, but contrast to the challenges faced before compared to the ones after. So, like, personally, for me, it's a question of how allies can be more loving and supportive before someone comes out and after. Do you want time to think, or do you want to go right off the bat?
You mean like how the challenges I faced before I transitioned and after I transitioned?
Yeah, and then after that, so she had like kind of 2 questions in one. So let's just do that one first.
Yeah.
What were
So,
your challenges before and then after you transitioned?
Before it was feeling comfortable in my skin. I didn't feel comfortable, so I wasn't confident. I wasn't confident, so I wasn't happy. I didn't form relationships very well. I didn't feel accepted everywhere I walked. Like, kind of like you, I didn't feel right in queer communities, but I didn't feel right in female-dominated communities, and I didn't feel comfortable just in like circles of like cis male friends. So it was basically being comfortable and feeling like, yeah, this is who I'm meant to be. This is where I'm meant to be in life. This is how I'm meant to be treated by people.
Yeah.
And my challenges afterwards have been, I feel like I'm more aware of people's opinions on trans issues.
Yeah.
I feel like having gone through it, and everyone should be aware of injustices in the world, but unfortunately it takes being on the receiving end of one of those injustices to realize it's there. And I feel like one of the challenges I found was the fact of realizing, oh shit, I'm gonna have to choose between being open and educating people and being proud of who I am versus sometimes my own safety in a way.
Yeah.
Especially like in those early days, like the first time walking into the men's bathroom. Well, that was something. Like,
So I'm gonna admit that I've been doing that since high school. I went to a football. I grew
fair.
up like in the very deep South. I went to a football game my senior year of high school. I walked into the female bathroom, and this old lady beat me out with a purse and called the cops on me.
Bloody hell.
And like the next time I went to the bathroom, I just chose to use the men's, and I noticed that they don't like dudes don't look at other dudes. There's no eye contact. There's no like speaking. We can just literally go in, do our business, handle it, and get out. And like,
Yep.
I have been doing that since high school.
Yeah. No, fair. Yeah, I've actually never had a problem in the men's toilets. I
Me
have
either.
had looks in the women's even before coming out. Yeah,
Yeah, same.
definitely.
Same.
But yeah, I mean, the whole like sometimes for my safety thing also comes down to workplace stuff. Like, jobs I've had have been in very male dominated environments, and
Same.
people who have worked in some environments know they're not the most open minded of people. Not all of them, I'll admit, some of them absolutely fine. Sometimes though, you walk into a job and you're on a 3-month probation and you hear someone make a comment about queer people, or throwing around slurs, and it's a choice of, well, I need to pay rent.
Yeah.
Like, I can't afford not to be in work. So for my own safety, fiscal or otherwise,
Yeah.
I've got to be quiet. Like,
See, I'm gonna admit that I've had the same job the entire time since before I transitioned and after. Um, and they've been wonderful.
yeah.
Like that hasn't been my experience.
Oh no, you see, the place I was at when I transitioned, they were fantastic. Like, I came out and I had a meeting with them, with like one of the kind of like higher up managers, and was basically like, look, here are your rights, but here's also what we as a company believe should be your right. You got a problem with anything, you come to us. You can change locker rooms now. We just need, a copy of your documents changing your name. We'll change it on the system. It's no problem, kind of thing. Carry on. I've unfortunately been in a situation where I've had to change jobs since then because of like company reasons and then like lockdown affecting the job market.
Yeah.
So,
God, that sucks.
yeah.
So, for me, compare and contrast challenges faced before to after. So, I also am in a very male-dominated field, and presenting as a female, I was challenged so often on my technical knowledge in situations when I clearly had the experience to back up my technical like expertise. Not only that, but like one of my old bosses hired me at 20 grand under a comparable male coworker's salary, which I don't blame him in the beginning. He didn't know my skill set, but when he did give me a raise, he only gave me a 10K raise. Like he only went halfway through.
Yeah.
He knew by then that I was comparable to my coworker.
Yeah.
Everybody else did. But so for me, it was having my technical skills like questioned, having my salary be dependent upon the presentation of my body was just, it was the most ridiculous thing. And it's something
that wage gap though.
Oh man, it's something that women still struggle with, and I'm like, we have got to push women up. I actively look for women in my workplace to help up.
Yeah.
So and after, honestly, my voice change, it causes more problems with me calling like apartment complexes or like anywhere that I need to be professional, and I'm like, hey, this is my full legal name. I need to do something, and they're like, but is it? Is it really? And I'm like, yes, I'm trans. Yes, I know my voice is deeper. And that's just, I need to change my freaking name. I haven't. So, I also like, and this is kind of a personal challenge. I don't know if you've interacted with this, but like, I enjoy working out, especially like on Riverside here in Tulsa, very early in the morning. And before I transitioned, when I presented as a female, even as a like butchier female, other females weren't afraid of me at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning when I'm out jogging. And now that I very much pass, I find myself wondering how to reassure women that I'm not a threat and that I'm just there to run, and I don't know how. So like, if you are if you are a woman, if you are anybody, and you happen to be like a runner or a jogger or someone who works out in like places where you might get frightened by a lone male presenting figure, please let me know how I can appear safer. At least to you guys,
Yeah, no, very good point. And I'd be interested to hear that as well, actually, as someone who would start work at 7 in the morning and is walking down an alleyway that, cuts past woodland and there's no street lights on at that time. And I've had people cross the road and like give me the glance over the shoulder a few times as I'm just walking along, like listening to music. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. So, and another one is, how can allies be more loving and supportive before someone comes out and after? I'm gonna shotgun this one if I can, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I found it really presumptive is the nice word I'm going to use when people tried to tell me I was trans before I told them I was trans.
Yeah.
You know, like stop pushing an identity on someone. Let them have their identity and just accept it. Just whatever it is. Non-binary, asexual, transgender, cisgendered, heterosexual, whatever your identity is, you know, like let's all just say now that your identity is valid, and don't push your identity on somebody else, or
Yeah.
what you think of as somebody's identity on them if they're
Yeah.
not ready to speak out.
Yeah. Preach. Like
I had a real issue with that. I am not gonna. There is a personal story there, and I am
yeah.
not gonna go there.
No, I agree with that. Respecting people's identities and not trying to
Yeah.
push people into things.
And after, you know, I've had a lot of people ask what they can do, and I think the most important one for me is to put your pronouns in your email signature at work.
Yes. That is a very good point. I think
At work.
normalizing putting pronouns into email signatures, into bios on social media, even in introductions. I've heard people using pronouns in introductions at kind of conventions and formal events and things like that, like workshops
I've been
and
doing that lately. I've been introducing myself and saying, "Hey, my name is Beckham Jordan, and I prefer he/him pronouns." And I work in a pretty, I would say, working class environment.
yeah.
So that's for
No,
me.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think for me, a big thing is, and it sounds obvious, but be a safe space. When you're coming out and you're trying out pronouns and you're trying out names, so and like for me, when I first came out, I did so very selectively. I told a few people to see how they felt, to see how I felt. When I was choosing a name, it was like, okay, so these are names I like. I don't know which one's going to stick. Can you use this name when we're alone together? That person might go through 15 names. You're going to be confused, but be that safe space.
yeah. And see, I did not. For me, I was kind of like, how can I make this as simple as possible for everybody to just like transition as easily as possible? And what's a name that I've always really just enjoyed the sound of, you know?
Yeah.
And also, I played soccer.
yeah.
So David Beckham was a huge influence for me. I think I mentioned that in the previous
Yeah.
recording.
We asked him if he's watching to like hook you up. Yeah.
Yeah, David, Mr. Beckham.
Yeah. See, see, with my name, I ended up using the first name I tried out. I was one of those people that was like, I want to try out a name in private and see how I feel. And it's funny the amount of people you realize you hate when you're going through a list of names. But I was the opposite of you. I was like, I don't want a name that is anything like my dead name.
Yeah,
I want it completely removed. Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't have the same first letter. Nothing. I want nothing to do with that name. I don't like it. My
yeah.
parents lovingly gave it to me, but just because you were given a gift doesn't mean you have to cherish it forever.
I needed to hear that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Not about my name though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I
So
need to get rid of some crap.
yeah, but yeah, my name, it's who I was, but I never felt connected with that name. And I went through a list of names, and I think I had like 5 names where I was like, okay, yeah, I like these ones. See how it feels. Alphabetically, Alexander was first.
Okay.
And my girlfriend and a couple of very close friends started using Alexander. They were that safe space, that safety net for me, and it just clicked from day one.
Yeah.
It just felt
You know,
right.
I had quite a few people that were my safe space. So I use the safe space too. I guess I just never thought I would change it.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What should come first, culture change or law? Pros and cons. Can one exist without the other? I have to admit, this one from Cynthia Mooney.
Yeah.
She actively works in
Yeah.
LGBTQ youth mental health.
Hmm.
She is a program coordinator, and she is, if I could call anyone who's not a trans person an ally, an advocate, she is the strongest commendation I have.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think that's a very good question. And I think for me, and like I said, we've not discussed things personally, but for me, I think they're not. You can't have one without the other. I don't think. And this may be a pessimistic view of my own, but some laws, they come about because of the general consensus and morality of the culture in which it's within,
Yes.
in which that government is within. I think law should come before culture personally, only because your culture may approve, or let's call it a lifestyle, because that's what they like to call things like sexuality and gender identity.
Yeah.
You may have a culture that is like transgender people valid. They should be allowed to exist how and as they please. If you don't have the laws and the protections to back that up, it means nothing.
Yeah.
And for example, bathroom laws, for example, which is like a big thing in the US, and it's been a thing over here, because whilst we have the protections, they're written in a way that means companies can have a bit of wiggle room to deny people access to changing rooms or bathrooms on some occasions if they haven't followed the necessary legal routes.
Yeah.
So you may have a culture that is like, yes, that's fine. But if you haven't got the laws and protections to back it up, it ultimately means nothing, because it's not the culture of the environment you're raised in and you're existing in that decides whether you can exist the way you have been.
Okay.
That's how I personally feel, because my community around me could be absolutely fine, but if the law says I can't be in a male changing room if my birth certificate says female, it doesn't matter what
So
culturally people think.
I have a very strong opinion that social issues, I want to go on record here, should not be fucking legislated.
True.
If it has to do with a personal decision that harms no others, what does it matter? Get out of it. The government should not be involved in sexuality, social, nothing, none of it.
Yeah. No, you see, when I said they should be involved, I mean they should be people should have the protections to make the choice you just said.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think
Yeah.
all social laws, is that overly idealistic? I think so. I would say so. Um, I hope in a future state for a place where it won't be necessary to expand the laws to include people that already exist.
Yeah.
And if you are of the opinion that things should stay the way they are, you're welcome to voice that. You're also welcome to catch this mouth. So
Yeah. And I think like I mean we'll touch on it on the methods of accessing treatment and stuff and how they differ maybe in another episode. But
definitely.
like just one example of culture and legislation having an effect is here in the UK we have the NHS. It's paid for with taxes, and part of the NHS of free healthcare is you can access services to help you transition. So therapy, surgeries, hormone,
But
voice
isn't there a
coaching.
significant wait list for that?
There's a very long waiting list. but irregardless of the waiting list, it's socially acceptable to transition. We have a lot of legal protections. Things like name changes are quite streamlined. You can get free access to being able to transition. However, the legal obligations is, in this country, we don't have informed consent. It's not a thing. You have to have a diagnosis and an assessment with a therapist, and then appointments with doctors. And in the case of the NHS, you have to have an appointment with 2 completely different doctors before you can be approved for hormone.
Oh, never mind. We'll talk about that in another episode.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it another time, but that's just one example. It's socially acceptable for you to transition, but the legal requirements mean there are so many so many hoops you have to jump through, and so many barriers that can stop some people accessing it if you don't tick a certain box.
Oh, one of these days. One of these days.
One of these days. I
Well,
mean,
those were our 3
we've yeah, I mean, we're living in an age where we have a lot of rights and a lot of protections and access to healthcare that people in the past kind of blazed a path for us to have access to.
And we're still not satisfied.
No, we're still not satisfied, but unfortunately, and until I have the same rights as my cisgender counterparts, I don't think I should be satisfied.
I think when I have the same rights as the lowest among us and I'm still satisfied,
yeah,
that's when I'll be satisfied.
Yep.
That's when I'll be there. When indigenous women and Black people of color, when everybody around us has the exact same rights and we are all satisfied, then I will be satisfied.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And until then, I will say burn the patriarchy. Feel how it feels.
Fair.
Feel how it feels. All right. I think that's it. I think that's a wrap on our first episode. How you feeling?
I think that. I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, I'm glad we decided to do this because we've been talking about this for a long time.
We have. We've been discussing this for at least since quarantine started in March.
Yeah.
Like at least seriously since then.
Yeah, we kind of had the vague idea, didn't we? Because we were comparing notes.
Yeah,
and about like I said earlier about how doctors can give you a list of 40 things that's going to happen to you. It's going to be that one weird thing that they don't talk about.
Oh man, and nobody talks about that one weird thing.
Yeah, until you go on. Like for me, it was sometimes things that happen, and I mean I help admin it now, but I'm part of quite a big group for trans masculine individuals in the UK, and it's not to. It's called FTM UK. Yeah, a little shout out. It's an amazing group. And do you know what? Every time I've asked a question in there, seen other people ask weird questions in there. There'll be an avalanche of people like, oh no, that's normal. Like it's a completely normal thing. Your doctor just didn't tell you. Like there'll be 7 guys like, yeah, I had that today. Like,
oh man. All right. I love it. I'm a member of a few. I'm so snobby. I'm so snobby.
Yeah.
As soon as there's like an avalanche of toxic masculinity, I jump.
Oh no. I left those groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we need to have a conversation about people like that as well.
Oh, I'm down.
Because, mate, the big thing is no transgender person's journey is the same. Nope. And some people, they're on a journey. Like
I think that's the nicest way I've ever heard that said. They're on a journey.
They're on a journey for sure. Like I don't want nothing to do with those journeys, but they're definitely on one.
That's so good. I'm going to use that from now on. Oh man. They are on a journey.
everyone gets what I mean, though. Like, everyone's gonna hear that, and they're gonna know exactly what that statement means.
And they
Like,
can't even say it's mean. They can't even say
no,
it's mean.
but we know.
Oh, we know. We know. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay.
Thank you to everybody
Much love
who
to
made
everyone
it
who's
through.
listening.
Yeah, everybody who continued listening, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for stopping by.